Today, I would like to talk about nonprofit leadership. When we talk about leadership, there are so many elements that we have already discussed under the qualities of leadership. So basically, we're gonna reiterate those qualities. No matter, when we hear the word leadership, then all those qualities, we happen to talk about. Okay. But when we want to specify on non-profit leadership or profit leadership, there might be a few things that we would like to take a look. So let's talk about the some non-profit leadership and the qualities as well. So when we talk about the leadership, the idea of leadership is the same, across the private, public, or non-profit sector. And but when it comes to non-profit leadership, there's a social value attached to it. And then we will have to think about these different the processes under the non-profit leadership, the methodological process, methodical process, and we also have to have a clear goals regarding fair compensation and recognitions. And then also another idea of clear communication and respect equally come into play when we talk about non-profit leadership. And what might be the skills when we are talking about nonprofit leadership? What kind of skills that we might think of? So, talking about the skills, there are the few skills that we can talk about. The leaders who is in the nonprofit management, or the in a nonprofit, organization or institutions should be very cognizant of financial management. Also regarding the fundraising, he also or she must have the good skills, also with human resourcing, knowledge of human resourcing, program knowledge, how to program things, at the organization, governance, and how to plan, and similarly how to build public relations and communication as well. So these are some of the skills that as a non-profit organization leader has to be very cognizant of. So basically non-profit is, by and large are community-based organization, which means each was started by someone in the community to be a benefit to the rest of the community. So always when you talk about non-profit organization, it's more guided by the not-for-profit the goals. That's why we always should be able to connect the activities for the welfare, for the benefits of the society and community as well. So these are the points I have already brought from the readings that have been posted to Georgia View as well, and also the online reading as well. So going further, talking about the different perspective on leadership, there are four different perspective of leadership I would like to talk about, that you might want to be knowledgeable of. When we talk about four perspectives of leadership, the one we want to talk about is servant leadership, which is more by guided by the or motivated by the well-being of people, creating value for communities and empowering others. So for them to grow and succeed, that is what servant leadership basically focuses on. Transformation leadership has more to do with the transformations. The how that is especially characterized by the how you act in society, with guided by the morality and optimism and confidence, and moving towards the future. So that's how you emphasize the value that are so important and significant to the colleagues at the organization that they work for, as well as the other people who are attached to related to the organization as well. Similarly, another leadership is charismatic leadership. In this type of leadership, the leaders motivate certain behaviors through force of personality or persuasions. And this is more where you need to be a very effective communicators. That's how you will be able to persuade people out there. And also you would like to help your team members as well, and boost their confidence to benefit the organizations and to achieve the goals of the mission of the non-profits organization. And the fourth one here is transactional leadership. It is how it's defined is an exchange process based on the fulfillment of contractual obligation, and is typically represented as setting objectives and monitoring and controlling outcomes. So basically these are the four different types of leadership that we would like to relate to the non-profit sector as well. So going talking about the other few more things about non-profit leadership, there are some practices that, as we tend to say, the best practices for the non-profit leadership, which is understanding the difference between management and leadership. Here I'm focusing only on the leadership, especially in the field of non-profit organization. Okay, for non-profit. So there, as a leader, you should be capable enough to understand the difference between management and leadership, how management is different from leadership, and how leadership is different from management, and what the role of leadership itself when it comes to management. Similarly, providing learning opportunities for staff growth. As a leader of a non-profit, you should always also be thinking about your staff and their growth as well, their the career as well, and also encouraging team building activities as well, and not trying to do everything by yourself. Also letting them do things by themselves as well. So that's how you encourage them and you motivate them. And then the third the point I said is here very quickly, is the encouraging team building activity. So encouraging team building activities is very, very important. If your team does not trust you, or does not feel confident enough to work with you, then you cannot achieve the mission of your non-profit organization. So that's how how you can boost the confidence of your team, or how you can make your team trustworthy, or you can make your team trust upon you, is because trying to understand them, trying to know them, or trying to they avoid the biases that you might have. Okay, sometimes even if we think that we don't have any bias, we want to treat each and every people equally. Some, even if we say that, sometimes we might have unconscious bias, means not knowing in terms of their caste, the identity, where their the race and color, things like that. Based on that, we make a judgment. Okay, we come to a decision without looking at the below the surface. How, what are their experiences, what is their story, what other skills they have. We don't want to look at those things, but if we walk in their shoes, I think that will be very beneficial to better understand each and every person in the team, and that's how we respect them as well. I was reading a book the other day. This book was Unconscious Bias: How to Reframe Bias, Cultivate Connection, and Create High-Performing Teams, written by Pamela Fuller and Mark Murphy and Annie Chow. Annie Chow is the AT&T CEO as well. So I like one of the interesting thing about how she defines unconscious, bias, and that is very useful and helpful for you as a leader who has been working in an organization. And this is a really good book, so that's why I've been reading this one. So let me read this. Our focus in this book is unconscious bias, also called implicit or cognitive bias. Research shows that we have unconscious biases around gender, race, job function, personality, age, generation, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender identity, family status, nationality, language ability, veteran status, culture, weight, height, physical ability, attractiveness, political affiliation, virtual remote working, hair color, even the messiness of someone's desk or their posture. So based on those things, sometimes we tend to make a judgment and make a decision, but that might not be true. So as a leader, you need to understand the various aspects, of it, and also the role of diversity in the organization, and how that enrich the organization, and how to make the organization more inclusive as well. Okay, those are also equally important skills of non-profit leadership as well. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so moving on, how do I develop the what do you call it? How do I develop the you can develop yourself as a non-profit leader? Here are a few tips. Volunteer inside and outside of your organization, like NIRI Research Institute. NIRI is basically it's a not-for-profit organization. I am related to NIRI actually. I'm affiliated with that. That's why I'm giving an example. NIRI is it's a Nexus Research Institute. Innovation and Institute for Nepal in Nepal. So I am the social science director there. So I've been working as a volunteer, to gain some skills, to learn a few more things about research and how it works. Even if I'm the social science director there, I've been working as a volunteer. I'm not paid. So sometimes you can gain skills doing that kind of a thing as well. Similarly, seek out both formal and informal professional development opportunity. Think big and move up by moving on. So you can always secure your place. You can always move further by continue moving on. So if you cannot make it to what you wanted, on time, don't lose your the confidence. Okay, continue moving on, and then definitely you will reach your destination one day. Okay. And talking about other few more things about non-profit leadership as well. These are the few things. As a leader, you might want to wear many hats. Okay, as a leader, you wear many hats here. You also have to be able to come up with a strategic planning. You keep the board engaged and on task. Make sure programs and services are delivered. You also have to be equally capable enough to raise money, because if that your organization is not for profit, sometimes you might not have enough money. But the idea of raising money might sound negative a little bit, because reaching out to people and asking for money, like begging for money kind of impression. But you need to design program in such a way that which is benefiting community, which is benefiting people, the society out there, and it is not for you but for the betterment of society. So if you approach people and community out there, then you would definitely be able to raise money. So you have to know how to approach people out there. And also you also will be supervising staff and volunteers. As another statement here, do 100 the other things, sometimes including cleaning the toilet. So as a leader, you cannot say, oh, I'm a leader, but the leader can do anything, can be an example of what you must be so that how other people will imitate you as a leader. They will learn something from you. So that's why you should not hesitate to do anything that in time invites you to do so. Okay. So that is that. And then there are a few more the skills, few more the attributes that a leader must have. These are the skills or attributes that I cited from the online reading as well. So these are the competencies: strategic thinker, relationship builder. I think this applies to the qualities of leadership as well, that we have already discussed many of the points from here. Should be collaborative decision maker, entrepreneurial achiever, effective communicator, change leader, inspiring motivator. Okay, these are the things, the attributes that you can read on your own as well. So I'm not gonna bother with this. And then so how you can become a leader on non-profit organizations. Here's a quick the few more points that I would like to quickly review. You also need to find a mentor who you can learn things from. Okay, there might be some exemplary leaders that you can learn from. Pursue your professional development by volunteering and joining a non-profit board. So if you don't have much knowledge on that, first start joining an organizations and volunteer there. Could be paid or non-paid, and you learn how each stuff works. So what the leadership is like. And earn an advanced degree. Qualification is equally important as well. And make moves when the time is right. So that's why when you find the right moment, then just go for it. And that's how you definitely end up being a leader in the future as well. So these are a few things I would like to highlight when we talk about non-profit leadership. If you have any questions, concerns, or want to add a few more information to it, you can definitely do so below the comments there. Thank you for today. Thanks.